Good evening and welcome to the Red Raven Coaches Show, here live from Wendy's in downtown Coffeyville. I'm Shea Neal, Nick Dober alongside with us, and as always, every Wednesday night at 7, we're here live at Wendy's. I'm already excited for my post-game meal. I know your players are excited about their meals as well, Coach. But
they look hungry.
I was gonna say they love talking football, but let's be real, they're here for the food. But we got a great show for you here. We're live on RRSN. We'll be live on US 98 in just a moment. A little bit of technical difficulties back in the studio, but we'll get that fixed as soon as we possibly can. So appreciate your patience. But for now, we're live on RRSN. Coach, how are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
Doing well. And, of course, excited to start talking about this upcoming weekend against Ellsworth and getting back in the win column. But we do have to recap the Hutchinson game a little bit. And, Coach, I think it's safe to say, I mean, we've known each other long enough now where I feel like I can assess this honestly. There were some good moments in that game. I thought the run defense was exceptional. I thought the running game really good. We'll talk to your lead running back from that game here in just a little bit. But I thought there were some positive takeaways. Brady Braun's the special teams player of the week in the league.
Yeah.
But I think all in all, I think you and your players would say that with the mistakes that were made, with the hole that you dug yourself in early in that football game, probably a disappointing outcome for the football team.
Yes, not very happy. Was not happy watching it unfold, especially early again. Monday, I popped up clips for the team that said these are just bad football plays. You know, it doesn't give you a chance, and there was probably about 10 of them in that first quarter. And it, obviously, with a number one team in the nation, or if it's Hutch, whatever, you can't do that. You just can't do that and expect to even compete. And that's the most frustrating part is when you watch it, we know we can compete. You know, we know when we don't shoot ourselves in the foot, we can play football versus anybody. Were we going to win? Who knows? We didn't even get to that point. We didn't even have a chance. So, yes, very frustrating. We have to go back to work. We have to get better at correcting some of that stuff, especially at turnovers. I mean, I'm sure anybody watched the game, if you turn the ball over, you can't do pretty well. And ultimately, that dug us, turnover, touchdown, safety, turnover, safety, whatever, and we're down 9-0. And then it was, I know you say rush defense, but, we punt it on the 17-yard line, then one play to the house. Like, can't do that.
Right.
And now we're down 16-0.
Yeah, well, and with a player, and I know as a coach, you never want to give up those big plays. That's a theme we've talked about all year. Don't allow the big plays. But with a guy like Wayman Jordan, when he gets 20 carries, he's eventually going to get free on one.
Very good.
Very
good.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think half of those carries, I don't have the number in front of me, but I would say he was probably stopped behind the line of scrimmage 7-8 times in that game. I can't think of another game this year where he's had that many runs stopped behind the line of scrimmage. So I think that obviously, you don't want to give up 83-yard touchdowns to any team you play.
Yes.
But I think it was encouraging for a team that runs as well as Hutch and as well as a big of a star as Wayman Jordan is, leading the league in rushing, one of the leaders in the nation in rushing. I thought all in all it was a solid performance for your front seven and slowing him down and giving, the offense a chance to get back in the football game.
Yes, our rush defense has been the strong point. And our offense being able to run the football has been our strong point, and that's what was pretty crazy too. Besides, early fumble by McKintis, and that, again, it was our fifth-string running back, and he hasn't really had any snaps. And hey, you got to go out there versus Hutch and play. But after that, he did a hell of a job adjusting, getting into the flow, and he ends up rushing for like 160-something yards. You know, so.
And I mean, you look at it at the end of the day, and the rushing stats were identical.
Yes.
The number one team is the nation's star running back, and Coffeyville's, fourth, fifth, whatever it is on the depth chart at this point, ran for the same amount of yards at the end of the day. So I think
when you talk about the rush defense too, and even looking at watching it fold, I was like, oh shoot, these guys are actually, Hutch was really looking to throw the football more than run it, which was kind of shocking to me a little bit because they do have Wayman Jordan, and that's their thing is they're going to run the football. But also, like you said, too, they respected our rush defense, and we actually did go out and play pretty well when they were trying to run it.
Coach, let's talk about some of the positives from this game, and I think one of the you mentioned it with McKintis and Trey unavailable with a shoulder injury. as well as Steven still battling that foot ankle. DeAndre Kelly now battling a little bit of an ankle issue as well. Good news is all three of those guys are progressing, getting closer to being back on the field. That's awesome news for Raven fans and for you as the head coach. But like you said, I mean, McKentis stepped up. I had to go out there, first career start against the number one team in the nation, maybe the number one defense in the nation, depending on who you ask. Early fumble, that can get in a guy's head if you fumble early in your first career snap. Clearly did not get in his head. I talked to him a little bit before the show. He said he started kind of picking in the second half.
Oh, he was totally different. It was amazing watching him run the ball in the second half.
And he was saying how he could sense where the Hutch linebackers or the safeties were going to go. And I mean, the fact that you can
trusting his blockers too.
Adjust and make those adjustments mid-game shows a talented football player.
And it comes with reps. I mean, again, freshman, first time being out there, like a lot of people, that he didn't have those first 3-4 games that, other guys have had. And again, you're going against a really good, talented defense and players on there. So can't express enough. I mean, honestly, how, and even those guys coming back getting healthy, I mean, they got to take a spot. If McKentis, he can keep going. You never know.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. It's good. And the best problem in football is to have depth.
Yes, next man up. That's what we keep preaching. And we've had a lot of guys do that.
If you have too many good football players, it is the best problem you could have.
Yeah.
But Coach, another thing, obviously, we talked about the turnovers, and you never want to finish a game with 3 interceptions, and that's something that's got to improve. But something that was really, really impressive on Saturday was Jaleel Boast coming back after missing the game against Iowa Central. Just a deep threat all day long, was getting open. Could tell Chris really trusts him to get open. Really
if he
trusts
wasn't
him
here last week, he would definitely be on the show for another great performance.
And hey, if he keeps up, if he has another strong performance, we might just be forced to bring him back.
Yeah, I have no issues. I mean,
but I mean, just a guy that when we talked to him, Coach, you could tell he put the work in. He learned this offense. He got reps, got experience with Chris.
Yeah.
And now you can tell on the field, Chris trusts him to get open. Chris trusts him to run the right route, and he's rewarding him for it.
I mean, he was our 10 points. The one right before half was still pretty awesome to see. And I told him, I go, great game clock awareness, even though the scoreboard was behind him, so he couldn't really see the clock. I was kind of joking with him. If he knew he wasn't going to score, he got down in time so he could kick the field goal. Mm-hmm. So it did kind of work out there.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because looking back on it, I thought the same thing, where there was the guy who tackled him, but there was another safety that was chasing him down. There's a very solid chance that if he goes for the end zone, he's tackled at the 5-yard line, 3-yard line.
If he didn't go down right there, there's literally 1 second. I appreciate our scoreboard. I'm sure they helped us out, too.
The fact that he dropped with 2 seconds left, like you said, just heads-up football play, and allowed you to get 3 points right there at the end of the half. But it's exciting to see, with so much talent on this team in the receiver room, but we've seen different guys at different times. We saw Breck against Iowa Central. We saw Cam Paul against Highland. We've seen at times Jet Perez this year. We've seen at times this year some other guys step up. Ty Durham has been a good deep threat receiver. But it's seeming like as the year goes on, Jaleel's getting more and more comfortable, and your quarterbacks are getting more and more comfortable throwing to him.
And that takes time in the pass game, and it is nice, that they're sitting there and trusting in him, and it builds confidence. Sometimes I think the game and sometimes what's called unfolds too. It allows those receivers. That's what kind of shows up each week. There's a different game plan of what can expose a coverage or the defense. So some of it is, it's just kind of him going out there and exposing and drawing up a good pass concept to go beat him.
Coach, last thing before we take the first break of the show. Something I think, like I said, with the exception of a couple big plays, and that's something that Hutchinson's so good at, is they are really good at, you can stop them 3-4 plays in a row, and all of a sudden they get you over the top. And it's not just Coffeyville. They've done that too. They've done that to Dodge City. They've done that to Highland. They've done that to Garden. I mean, they do that to a lot of teams they go up against. But I thought all in all, your defensive line put some pressure on the quarterback, which was something we talked about last week that would need to happen. Your linebackers, KJ, Marquise, they're playing some really good football right now. And I think your secondary played well as well. So obviously a few things to tweak here and there, but I think all in all a strong performance for the defense.
That's why we have 2 defensive backs in here, or tonight, 2 at Wendy's. They got some turnovers, some interceptions and fumble recovery, forced fumble. That was big. That was the thing is, we were also taking the ball away. We were just also turning it over more than them. So it was an interesting game. I'm sure Coach Dow's probably upset about their turnovers and stuff like that too. And but it's just a little lopsided.
Excellent. Well, we are excited to talk about the team bouncing back against Ellsworth here coming up in just a little bit. But, of course, we are now on US 98. We appreciate your patience over on the radio side of things. Had to iron out some technical difficulties here at the start of the show. But now we're good. Live on RSN and US 98. Let's take our first break of the show. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Coach, who we got coming up?
We got McKintis Adams, our running back, and we got Lawrence Brown, our cornerback, and we got LJ Hall, our safety.
Well, we'll hear from the two guys in the no-fly zone, if you will.
There you go.
Lawrence and LJ will be joining us coming up next.
Seatbelt Nation.
Seatbelt Nation. They'll be here on the show in 2 minutes on US 98, the Red Raven Sports Network. All right, sorry about that, guys. Guys, can you hear me okay? All good? Cool. Back here on the Red Raven Coaches Show, and I'm out here talking about technical difficulties, and here I am forgetting a cord. So that's totally my fault. At the start of the show, I'm sure our audio was a little different than normal. That's totally my fault. You go out to Wichita, you win Media Market Station of the Year, and you forget how to act. So apologies for that. Happy to be back here, though, live from Wendy's up until 7:30. And we're now joined by two members of Seatbelt Nation, Lawrence Brown and LJ Hall. Thank you guys both so much for being here. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. And I love that you guys were both in sync with the answer, because it's a good sign when the guys in the secondary are on the same page. So,
yes, sir.
But both of you guys seems like have gotten more and more reps as the year's gone on, more and more playing time, and it's paid off because you both got a turnover against Hutchinson on Saturday. But talk a little bit. I'd love to hear from both of you. We'll start with you, LJ. But the work you put in from the off season to now, and maybe something that's gone into you being a little bit more comfortable out there now versus late August.
Yes, sir. I got here last spring, and as soon as I got here, like, we was working every day, like, working. And when I first got here, like, my confidence wasn't all the way up there, like, but I started, like, getting closer to the guys, getting closer to everybody. My confidence shot up, and at the beginning of the season, I wasn't a one, but I earned the starting spot the second game of the season, second week, and ever since then, I just been getting better every day, working hard, and I guess just been playing great.
The same thing with you, Lawrence. You come from Liberty University, which is, not just a D1 program, but honestly a D1 program that's had a lot of success at the mid-major level. So I'm sure you took away some great lessons there. But what's something that you maybe learned at Liberty, or maybe you didn't learn at Liberty, that you now feel like a better football player from your time in Coffeyville?
Being able to stay patient. I didn't get to play a game at Liberty. I redshirted my freshman year. Then my sophomore year, I went in, I tore my ACL. And then I just had to keep faith in God that he would keep doing what's best for me. And then just kept going, keep working hard, rehabbing, and then just.
Great stuff. And, you both get to work with a lot of talented guys in that position room. Let's start with you, Lawrence. But, working hard in practice every day with a guy like Kyler Christmas, with, a veteran like Brewer Casabu, a guy like Jaden Shepard. It has to. I imagine it brings the best out of you as a competitor, because you want to. Those guys are just so intense and so talented on the football field, but great leaders off the football field as well. So what's it like learning from those guys and competing with those guys on the field every day?
Having them being able to keep me and set me to my standard, allowing them to see what I can do in my best, and allowing them not allowing me to go below that, and being able to just keep working hard and keep doing what I do, and then have my best as my minimum, and just keep up rocking it.
And the same thing for you, LJ. I mean, being the safety, you're kind of, at times like that center fielder out there on defense, guarding that back line. But when you have corners like Kyler, like Lawrence, like some of these other guys, the DBs have really had a strong season. It takes a lot of pressure off of you, where you know that on most plays, your DBs, your corners are going to do a good job staying in front of them.
Yes, sir. I trust my corners a whole lot. Like, I think they really good, like really talented. So when I'm out there and we get a call, I let them know what the call is, and I know they're gonna handle up. They're gonna do what they gotta do.
I'd love to hear. We're here talking to Lawrence Brown, LJ Hall here on the Red Raven Coaches Show, but you guys both came away with a turnover on Saturday, and obviously I'm sure it's not your first interception, your first forced fumble in a football game, but. I think there's some meaning behind it when you get a pick against Hutchinson, the number one team in the nation, the team that hasn't lost a Jayhawk conference game in the regular season in 3 years. There's a lot of hype surrounding that program, of course, but what's that emotion for somebody that hasn't played football at past, high school level, or even, to the level that you guys are at? When you get that big interception, that big turnover in a big game like that, can you try and put into words the feeling that goes through your head?
It's really hard to put it in perspective, but you worked all hard for that all week for practice, and you're going in playing against the number one team. Just being able to come down with an interception is just something, a great sight of joy, because everything I work hard for, I finally get to come down on.
Great stuff. And something I'm curious about as well with you guys, you've played some mobile quarterbacks this year. Of course, Samari Collier, Christian Johnson, both at a Hutch can run with the football a little bit. We'll see some mobile quarterbacks as well with Butler and Dodge City coming up on the schedule as well. But one of the toughest jobs for a DB is staying on your receiver for 5-6 seconds when the quarterback tries to extend the play, getting outside the pocket. Yeah. So when you see a play where the quarterback's able to escape out of the pocket and scramble to his right or scramble to his left or whatever, and buy those extra few seconds, what's going through your head, and how do you make sure that you can stay? What goes into that? Do you try and just make sure that you're behind the receiver? You don't want him to get behind you, or are you trying to kind of mimic his actions? What goes into that kind of play?
If we in man, we just stay with our man. But if we in zone, we find the closest man to us and lock on to him. You just chase him. You just chase him forever. Chase him till somebody get a hold of the quarterback, or till the quarterback break the line of scrimmage.
And I'd love to hear, obviously, I think you being a corner, Lawrence, I'm sure your answer is going to be interception. But I'd love to hear from the safety. If you had to pick, obviously all turnovers are fun for you. But if you had to pick, would you rather get an interception or force a fumble? What's more enjoyable for you as a safety?
I mean, I got both last game. I think the interception was
Yeah?
more, no cap. I mean, I'd rather have like a big hit than the interception.
Yeah.
But every fumble ain't no big hit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
sir.
I mean, Charles Tillman made an entire career out of just perfectly placing his hand and punching the football.
Yes, sir.
So it's not not all of us can be Cam Chancellor at the end
Yes,
of the
sir.
day. But and excellent job, by the way, of throwing in that casual. I got both. That was,
Yes, sir.
that was outstanding work right there. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show, and we look forward to watching you guys against Ellsworth this weekend and for the rest of the season moving forward.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having
Appreciate
me.
you.
Absolutely. Let's take a quick 90-second timeout. When we come back, Coach Jobler and McKentis Adams join the show to talk about the Ellsworth Panthers. We'll be back in 90 seconds on US 98 and the Red Raven Sports Network. Can you both hear me okay? Red Raven Coaches Show here live from Wendy's, downtown Coffeeville. Shea Neal. We're back with head coach Nick Dobler and now running back McKentis Adams. And we talked a little bit earlier in the show, Coach, that Brady Braun, Special Teams Player of the Week. Third straight week a Ravens been
I love it.
Jayhawks Player of the Week. That's pretty awesome exposure.
Getting
for the program.
recognition. Brady had a smile on his face Tuesday.
I'm so glad.
Yes, and
So-
I didn't really realize what was going on. He
I wish-
saw it before me.
I wish there was a Jayhawk celebration of the week because he'd be like a 6-time champ.
I happened to watch film again and him pinning a punt. He had 4 inside 20, and he had his little celebrations going.
And
He was excited.
I dug into the season stats, Coach. 29 total punts, 12 pinned inside the 20-yard bounce. Pretty good percentage.
Yeah.
Pretty good
Very
percentage. But my point is, the guy who's joining the show right now, I think, had a very valid argument for also being named Player of the Week. Unfortunately, did not, but I don't think that diminishes what he was able to accomplish on Saturday. Running back McKentis Adams joining us here on the show, and you have to be, obviously, of course, I know you're a team guy, and you wish that you got the win over Hutch on Saturday, but for you to go out there, first career start against that kind of program and that kind of defense, and to have the success that you and your offensive line had, it has to be a pretty good feeling here as you sit here on a Wednesday night.
It is. It definitely is. We definitely left some food on the table, but it felt good to just get them stats up.
And I always
Reps.
love to hear it from the Kansas kids, and you're from Topeka, but you know the obviously you grew up watching K-State, the Jayhawks, and those Big 12 teams. But just to be a guy that went to Washburn Rural in Topeka, and now to be playing college football in the state of Kansas, where you grew up, where your family can make a trip down and watch you play on Saturdays. What's that kind of full circle moment like for you, where you're playing college football in the state you grew up in?
Well, I didn't grow up in Kansas,
Oh well, there you go.
but it definitely is.
This has been a
definitely-
tough day for Shay doing homework, huh?
Yeah, but it's definitely been a blessing just to get the opportunity to play at Coffeeville. Like, the program is very, very humbling.
Great stuff.
It's like the coaches here is very, very good, and just it's definitely a blessing.
And you get the start because of some guys ahead of you, Trey, DeAndre, Steven, dealing with a little bit of injuries. But when those guys are on the field healthy, I mean, the caliber of players that they are. But what's it like in practice every day and in film every week, working with those guys? Because I can imagine when you're a running back with not a ton of experience in college, guys like Trey Jones, Steven Robinson, and DeAndre Kelly are pretty good guys to work with every day.
Did you ever know? I got to jump into on that question.
Please.
This is my first one. Did you ever really think this year that you were going to be, if someone told you, hey, you're going to start versus Hutch?
No. I did not think so.
Exactly. I don't think anybody would have.
No, especially not like this late in the
And then
season.
say you're going to rush for 167 yards.
I was going to say that might be the point. It's like,
it's a blessing at the end of the day, but like those players right there, those are great leaders. DeAndre, Steve, Trey, those like even though I wasn't getting them reps in game, it was like they were still coaching me up in practice. They still coaching me up to this day. Like Steve wasn't practicing today, but like he was just coaching me up with all my reps today. So having them around is great.
Well, Coach, Ellsworth Panthers coming up on Saturday. You're getting your frequent flyer miles racked up here. Your third trip out to Iowa.
It's our last trip, thank God, this year. It's our last trip for a couple years now.
Oh, yeah.
We had enough team bonding on the first year. We're good now, but, of course, a Panthers team that they're really pushing for that first win of the season. And I think, when you we talk about this with a lot of high school coaches as well, when you have a team that has had success against a team that's really struggled to this point in the season, can very easily turn into a trap game, especially going to their place and playing hours away from home. So how do you make sure that your team executes and handles their business just like if it was Hutchinson or Butler or any other opponent?
Well, the nice part is we're coming off a loss, so it's kind of easy. We can really jump on our kids and tell them, we got to fix mistakes. Just like you do after a win or loss, you got to go fix mistakes. But it's a little different after a loss. It's a little. I think everyone takes it a little bit harder. So I can tell you this: our coaching staff came out these last couple of days, practices, with a little bit more fire too, to get some stuff fixed. So it is going to be a little easier that, but still the kids, and we preach since day one that doesn't matter who you play against. It's still about what we do, and we got to focus. Like if we're playing a national championship game, Saturday, we got to treat it like that if we want to perform on Saturday.
Absolutely, and Coach, something that stands out to me with this Ellsworth team, they're pretty balanced for the most part in terms of they do run the ball a little bit more than they throw it, but they are willing to do both. But something that they've done a lot this year is they're almost, and this is a good thing for a college football team, they're stubborn running the football. They run the football even when it's not working, and that's how you get it to start working. But this is a Panthers team that's you're going to see a lot of running backs. They have
their best player is their running back.
6 different players with at least 17 carries this year. So they have a stable, and they run the ball a lot. So this rush defense, you talked about it earlier in the show, the strength of your defense, and you're going to ask them to be big again on Saturday.
They're going to have to be on point. They're going to have to fly around the football and make tackles, and keep doing what they've been doing, but a little bit more, every week. It's less of a game that we have left too, so that crucial time, and we really want to finish this thing off strong. That's the biggest thing. We need to take this thing 1 week at a time. Can't overlook anybody, but we have a chance to still be a pretty good team, and I keep telling my guys, I know we've taken a loss versus number 1 team and number 2 team and number 5 now in the nation are our 3 losses. We're a damn good still top 10 team, so let's go finish this thing off strong. We get to go up to Ellsworth, Iowa, and lay out some frustrations and get better, if you want to say. And you said
it, I think, at the end of the day, you take it 1 week at a time. That's what you got to do in the Jayhawk Conference. And, Dodge City's had some big wins this year. Independence has a strong defense, and they've shown it. They pushed Iowa Western last week. So you got to take it 1 week at a time, but it does feel like now, Hutch in the rearview mirror, Garden in the rearview mirror. This is the opportunity. This is the point of the season where your guys have some confidence, they have some big wins, and they can go on a really solid 3-4 game winning streak, ideally, to end the season and really set themselves up for a chance to play some postseason football.
Correct. We still have a chance. An 8-3 team can be a bowl game season. Could be.
So we talked about, the run defense of this team being a strength, and that's where I'm going to pivot back to McKentis here. Is I love talking to, receivers going up against DBs on this team, and we talked to Jack Lanning last week about his first time having to hit DeAndre Kelly. DeAndre won that one-on-one battle, but you in practice every day, getting reps against all the talented linebackers and safeties and defensive ends on this team, it has to feel like when you go out there on game day, it's probably nothing you haven't seen before because you're going up against really good defensive football players every day.
Oh yeah, our defense definitely fly around. It's good to go good on good just to get that live rep feeling. So
The scout team gets pretty turned up.
Oh
too,
yeah,
I know.
our scout team. Oh yeah, our red shirts. They get.
We do
fun
gotta
now,
give a
too.
shout out. Maybe you gotta bring in some scout teams.
Absolutely,
Maybe
absolutely.
bye week.
Get the
when we
scout
go.
team some
You know,
love.
the week before Butler, I bring in a couple scout team players.
No doubt, we would love that. We would
They
love
get
that.
turned up. There was one Tuesday. Offensive guys were over there
They got-
after
they got
finished,
turned up
and they
today.
were turned up because a good receiver made a big catch on one of our DBs, and then today I think they made a stop down the goal line, the
Yeah.
scout D, and getting all fired up.
It gets heated. It definitely gets heated. Yeah.
Scout team out here trying to take names.
Oh yeah,
Love it.
they're definitely coming.
Coach, last thing I have for you. Appreciate your time as always. Appreciate your guys as well. But it's become kind of the staple of the end of the coaches show. But 3-4 keys to getting back in the win column against Ellsworth. What are some things, some specifics you're looking for to get win number 5?
We got to overcome, the biggest thing is to overcome a lot of mental obstacles. You know, okay, looking at a team with not so good of a record, you know, watching film and thinking, oh, you know, they're not so good. So we got to overcome that. And then also, you know, there is logistic things that, you know, at Ellsworth not having, you know, where we're locker room and where we're staying and all that and traveling. We got to overcome a lot of that to go out and at a 1 o'clock kickoff, you know, be able to just go back and play football like we do at practice.
Great stuff, and appreciate McKentis as well as LJ and Lawrence joining us here on the show tonight. We'll be back at it again next Wednesday, hopefully talking about a Raven win.
That'd be great.
And getting ready for a big-time matchup with Dodge City. Dodge having a really solid season, and I'm excited for that matchup. But, of course, Panthers come first. We'll be back at it next Wednesday night at 7. It's time for us to go get our Wendy's tonight. So
I am starving.
big thanks to Harmony back in the studio. Big thanks to Amber and Blaine here at Wendy's for helping us with the Red Raven Sports Network stream. I'm Shane Neal saying so long. We'll be back at it on Wednesday. Of course, Ravens coming up on Saturday, 12:45 pregame, 1 o'clock kickoff when they battle the Ellsworth Panthers right here on your home for Red Raven Sports, US 98. Till next time, I'm Shane Neal saying so long. Have a great Wednesday. We'll talk to you next time.